Wait, I'm sorry.
Welcome to my spread eagle partner over here. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Go Ham podcast. I'm Heather.
I'm Alicia.
And I'm Monica.
We're here today to talk about the elephant in the room.
Toxicity in salons.
Let's spill the tea on toxicity.
There we go. All
There's
right.
definitely a lot to talk about on this topic.
Oh, it's loaded.
It is. It's one that doesn't come without a lot of drama and pressure and all the fun stuff. But anyway, let's get to it.
It definitely comes in many layers. So let's start at the top. We're going to go with the leaders and the owners.
Yeah.
What does a toxic owner and a leader look like?
Salon owners, I think it's simple. It's, if you have strong leadership skills, if you have self-awareness, if you have accountability, if you're able to say sorry, they're really strong leadership abilities that are going to potentially operate a business that is going to cultivate a strong culture. If you're weak in any of those points, if you're someone who's drama driven, you roll in, you're complaining about whatever happened with whatever over the weekend, you're ultimately setting the tone for what your team's going to do. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's just a reflection of what's allowed in this building. What you permit, you promote. We say it all the time.
Yeah, you got to set the precedent for your team. And adding to the leadership qualities that you just named, I think empathy is a huge one. Communication is a huge one for leaders. You have to be able to empathize with your team. You need to be able to communicate. And if you can't do any of those, then you're setting a bad precedent.
I think the lack of empathy is literally the main reason why the salon industry gets such a bad rap, because it's just oh, I have a funeral. No, you're working Saturday. Oh, I have this. No, you're doing that.
Yeah.
It's the authoritative and lack of empathy owners, I just feel are giving us a bad rap.
No, I agree. And a lot of those owners are, they're just numbers driven. All they care about is the money at the end of the day that they may or may not be making.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that for us, a lot of our success that we've seen in the salon and a huge part of our culture is how empathetic we are and how supportive we are of our team and how caring we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a basic example of this would be, I'll use the example of this week what happened with me. It's, hey, Mon, is there any chance I can block my schedule? My son's preschool graduation is that day. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's not even, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need anything from you. Sure, I want you to be there, and that's all. Whereas I think a lot of owners, it's more oh, well, if I let you do that, then so-and-so is going to want me to do that. And that's where...
Yeah. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
Nothing, buddy.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we, at least we got to what we think that the salon leaders and owners and all of that stuff. Now let's drift into the stylist. I mean, they're next.
Oh, a toxic stylist can take many forms. For instance, I know a lot of people hate the break room. Whether you're a gossip girl and you sit in there and you just like to chit chat and talk smack and spread rumors, the break room's the perfect spot to do that. On the flip side, there's definitely some stylists and anybody else that works in the salon, front desk, apprentices that don't like the break room. They don't want to be part of it. They don't want to be in there. So I think the gossiping and rumors amongst stylists, apprentices, I kind of took it a little bit further. It should have just been for stylists, but I mean, that kind of flows downhill. So.
Yeah.
The stylist who has one of their coworkers clients because they're on maternity leave and they intentionally try to get them to pre-book with them. The griminess.
Yeah. Or even the stylist who half of their appointments with another stylist and they're oh no, I can do that for you. You don't need to go to them. That's kind of what are you doing?
Well,
100%.
another thing too is the stylist that gets a promo and maybe level jumps and then forgets where they came from. Yep. And all of a sudden now I'm too good to help with this or I'm too good to do that. And the ego just takes over and that really can cause a lot of toxicity amongst all their peers.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I think there's things that go around the clients, the argumentative area that you get with clients. And, oh, well, she went to her. Why did she go to her? Why are you giving this person new guests? Why aren't I getting them? It's just this combative, drama-filled mindset that can really disrupt the culture if it's not contained.
Victim mentality, we like to call it.
Well, let's talk about managers. Managers can either make or break your company. They're essentially you when you're not there.
Oh, that's so true. And you can't always be there, so you need to make sure that your managers are so trained and well versed into how you want them to handle situations, how you want them to handle team members, clients, everything.
We dove into it with the owners, the stylist, apprentices, assistants, whatever you choose to call them in your salon. They're tough, but I think one of the big things with salon toxicity is just being able to identify if you're a good culture fit for a salon or if that individual is a good culture fit for you. And I think those are two things that can easily be mistranslated to say this salon's toxic or that person's toxic, when the truth behind it is they just weren't a good fit for that salon company.
I mean, truly, somebody could leave our company and say that we're toxic because we are so black and white, goals driven, and, you know, everybody has a position. It's very organized. So I feel like we could be called toxic because somebody's not into that.
Wait, can we talk about the video that I watched on YouTube? And the girl's like, the first thing she said is like, basically saying any salons that are hustle culture are toxic.
If you're hustle culture, come on over. Come on over.
Why though? But why? I didn't see this video.
You did? I think you saw it. So this was the girl who was basically saying that hustle culture and any salon that is hustle culture is toxic. And it's like, absolutely not. You know, just find your people.
Was this the girl that I was so aggravated with because I felt like she just had victim mentality written all over her?
May have been or may have not. There were two that I think both of us watched two of them.
Okay.
But the one in particular that I'm talking about was very anti-hustle culture, which is fine. Listen,
Yeah,
like
not every salon has to be that way.
if you're somebody who, like, I think what she used the example of was if they're not providing you a 60-minute break, you know, that's toxic.
Right.
And I'm like,
flip side, it's like
if I
tried
put a 60-minute break in one of my team members' columns,
they would quit.
they would quit. So
Yeah.
I think like that's just something big to be able to identify that in any industry. It's not just our industry.
Yeah.
Just because somewhere isn't a good salon fit or a good,
Yeah,
you
people
know.
just have different work ethics.
Yeah. So I think that's where salon toxicity, this term that we use these days is, you know, I feel like there's a little bit of grayness there.
Yeah, and thinking about like a stylist who actually has a babysitter on the clock at home watching their kid while they're at work and get money, and we put a 60-minute block in.
Yeah, I mean, if you want the break, take the break. But like, I feel like that's just...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, they want a break, they're welcome to have it. But
So have you guys seen this thing where like salon owners are like videoing themselves calling
ugh,
clients?
it's so cringy to me. I just can't get with it.
Why?
Because it's so unprofessional. Like, it's literally just a grab for likes and people to talk about.
Thirsty.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Thirsty.
that's it.
Yeah,
They're
no, I
so
feel that way too.
thirsty, in my opinion.
I feel like I'm so wrapped up in like just making this person happy and handling the situation that I would never even think to like, oh, let me go grab my phone and film this. This might be a good idea for people to see.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so wrong on so many levels. It's just
Yeah.
like when you're calling a client that legitimately has a gripe or a concern about their service, how ingenuine to stand there and video yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just would never want to go to a salon, and I would never want to work in a salon.
So
where
this
the
goes
owner-
to our team talking about this specific scenario in the break room.
Yeah, they did. They talked about it. And actually, one of the girls said to me, her exact words were, if my owners ever videoed themselves talking to a client, I would quit that day. Like,
Yeah.
they just thought it was so disgusting to even witness it. And that's on, like, not from an owner's level. That's stylists are saying that about it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the people that are liking it on social media, it's just like they're not in our industry probably, or maybe they are, I don't know, but I just feel like it's literally like thirsty, like you said. It's just somebody that wants to
Hashtag internet troll.
You definitely don't see the Ritz-Carlton
no
team members posting their
no some things
altercations
you
with
just
their
don't air
guests.
out, and that's not one of them.
No, it's not. So I think that's the truth. It's like, you know, to what we keep talking about with the owners and the leaders, and, you know, you have to have yourself on a standard. If you can't control yourself emotionally, if you're driven by social media likes and whatnot, then maybe you need to pursue a social media career.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just don't think that it's going to line up well with you growing a team of individuals and essentially a salon business or brand.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's our goal. That's what we want to do. And
Right.
that's, you know, that's our vision. That doesn't mean it's everybody's vision, But if you are somebody who has a big vision and are trying to grow, then yeah, absolutely. Like that's absolutely insane for you to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like you need to value your customers' opinions and value their feedback. And doing something like that is just kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So tell me this. You walked into the break room
Right.
and they're all kind of going off about this viral TikTok thing where you call clients. How did you handle that? And like, what would you do as an owner? Like, you know, obviously it's like kind of like a negative conversation happening that could potentially turn down a toxic avenue. It doesn't sound like it did.
No, I mean, for the conversation that was had with us, it was kind of like interesting because it was hearing different perspectives. It wasn't like a negative at all. They were just like, oh my God, did you see this? Like,
Yeah.
and then at the time I didn't see it. So I
Okay.
didn't know what they were talking about. So it was just really just listening to them explain it to me without me having any input. I was just like, well, tell me about it. Like,
Yeah.
what did she do? Why was the client upset? How did she handle it? Why was it on TikTok? And hearing it from their perspectives was super interesting.
Yeah. So for you guys, and I feel that I'm in the same boat, you know, the way our salons are designed, it's typical that the offices are right next to the break room. We get to hear a lot of it.
Yeah.
What are common things that you're hearing in the break room that would be considered toxic?
Oh, I know one. And I think that the intentions behind this are good, but it comes out negative. So like a stylist will have an issue with a client. And they walk back and they know that their team's going to rally around them and support them. So they just start, basically bitching about the whole interaction they just had with a client. Well, for me, that's toxic. Like, not everybody wants to hear that. You shouldn't be talking about your clients like that. But for them, they're just trying to get some support in that moment.
Yeah.
And they're leaning on their team members. So
For sure.
And relatability. Like,
yeah, like,
There's a fine line there for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
but I hear that a lot. I feel like I hear, not a lot, but every once in a while someone will come in about somebody who's showing up late.
Yeah.
And they're totally aggravated because now it just pushed their whole day back.
Yep.
And they're just looking for, just to vent. But it can be toxic. It can be a domino effect because if there's a lot of negativity in there, then everyone else is feeling it. Then they're starting to bring it and
Yep.
just trickles down.
For sure.
How about you, Mon? Anything?
For me, as a stylist, well, I have two. I mean, one is just having owners that had zero lack of empathy. And, we have examples that we could bring up about, just being required to be at work events if, they weren't incredibly important, but yet you still had to be there and you weren't being paid.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's
speaking
throw that
of
in
that, when I was in the break room talking to the girls, we did start talking about owners and how they can really play a role in your career and affect your whole outlook. One of our girls actually was telling me a story that it sits so horribly with her even today. She missed her best friend's son's funeral because her boss wouldn't allow her to have off on a Saturday to go attend the funeral.
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
So even today, like now she's no longer with that company, thank God. But even today, it just resonates with her and it just left such a bad taste in her mouth. And I just can't even imagine as an owner, how do you have that conversation when an employee comes to you?
How do you sleep at night?
Yeah, like upset and hurt and telling you like my best friend's son passed away. I need to be at the funeral on Saturday, but I'm scheduled to work. What can you do? And I turn around and say, nothing. You better be in work. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah.
And that's a real story. I'm not making that up.
I bet you that owner regrets it.
Maybe hearing it back.
The scary thing is that they may not.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That's kind of why we're here, guys.
Yeah.
Let's try and shift this a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely terrible. Another thing that I think weighs heavy on me as an owner and a regret that I have is allowing somebody to negatively impact our company for an extended period of time without letting them go. There's one specific
I
individual.
know where you're going with this.
Yeah,
It's
that
like cancer, it spreads.
yeah,
That's
she was
exactly it.
cancer.
And there was an employee that was a cancer to our company, for sure.
She was like a little bit of a manipulator. She had me fooled a little bit. I know she had you fooled.
Oh, big time. I was, I was the one that was going to bat for her, sticking up for her left and right.
Yeah.
I had employees, other team members coming to us, telling us it's her or me.
Oh
And
yeah.
Not that
There
I was
are
turning a
owners. Have
blind
you ever
eye,
been put
but-
in that position where they barrel down the office door until it's either me or them?
That's
Yeah.
pretty fucking bad.
Oh,
No, I mean, we were really in that position. Like, we did have a team member who caused so much animosity amongst our team members that, and I was just so blinded. And that's one of my biggest regrets as a leader, is not being able to identify in that moment. I mean, years later, now that I look back, I see, the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
But at the time, I like stuck up for her, and I empathized, and I felt bad for her, and I felt like they were like ganging up on her, and they really weren't.
No, they weren't. Yeah. No, she had an ulterior motive from the gate.
Yeah.
But, I think that allowing that toxicity within your company and being blind to it, as the owner and the leader, you have a responsibility to the team.
Yeah.
And even if it is a personal relationship, and that's why, I don't love hiring best friends and sisters and partnering with everybody that I'm close with. Okay, I do that all the time.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, but ultimately, like, that's one of the negatives. When you are in business with your friends and, people that you care about, like, it's very difficult at times to be able to tell them, like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but you got to get it together here.
Yeah.
And that's, that's been a difficult scenario, but definitely something we've learned from and changed our ways with.
Yeah, a big time.
And I gotta say, though, like, when this was all happening with this specific team member, I was open. Like, I would listen to the other girls when they would come in the office and tell us, and I would hear it, but I just never acted on it.
Yeah.
And I think that was what my failure was, because, like, I kind of did know what was going on.
We were just hoping it would dissolve and go away.
Just hoping everything would just work itself out and things would be fine.
Yep.
You guys learned so much from that, though.
Oh, we sure did.
Yeah. Like, we never had a situation like that happen.
No, ever
since
again.
then.
Fool me once, sister. It's about all you're getting. All right. So anyway, we dove down that. What strategies do we have? Like, in what ways are we identifying? What are simple signs that you can see to kind of, identify if somebody may not be a great culture fit, or if they're just going through something? Like, that's something that I think is important for us to talk about, that sometimes, just because they might be in a bad mood or they have something going on, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a good fit.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things that we have in place in all of our salon companies across the board is, if there's ever an issue, whether it's with a client, a team member, each other, it's handled within 24 hours. Like, it does not go past that 24-hour mark.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean you have to, like, handle it right there in the moment. Like, some people prefer to sleep on it, or, gather their thoughts before they address the situation, but obviously, like, not letting it go either.
You can't let it go past 24 hours.
Yeah. No, you have to. The other things that I think that we do, and we do well at this point, are just regular check-ins with our people. Mm-hmm. Monthly sit-downs, quarterly check-ins, even weekly check-ins, or just like the casual, like, hey, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Like that type of thing. When you know that something might be off with someone.
Like, look into their soul. Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah, but I think just having that personal connection gives people the opportunity to provide feedback, and paying attention to the little details, the ins and outs, the all days, every day.
Yeah.
Those are the things that really are going to strengthen your culture.
Yeah. I feel like if you're in your salon enough, you're going to know when somebody's off and when you need to, maybe check in with them to see if they're okay.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, being present is huge too for us. I mean, we're in the salons pretty much every day, one of us or all of us.
Or the managers.
Managers are there. We're always, open door policy. Come in anytime you want. Check in with us as well. Like, if you don't want to sit in the break room and eat your lunch, you can come sit with me. I'll chit chat with you for a couple minutes and see how you're doing, catch up.
Yeah.
All right. How about hey, I think you should go home today. Or like, okay, wait, that went on. No, just don't come in today.
Yeah.
Like, I think
important.
That is to be able to allow people their personal time. Like, hey, if you have something going on, like, don't come to work.
Yeah.
Take the time.
Yeah.
I want you home. I want you getting yourself right before you come in here.
Even like fender benders on their way to, like, you're not going to recover from that from the day. Like, that emotional stress of dealing with the cops, like, just
take the day.
Call this one
take
out.
The day.
You're done.
Yep.
Yeah, those are big things. So those three, and then the last one, but the one that I do feel it provides them an opportunity to give feedback. So the last one that I think is pretty detrimental and has been a game changer for us are surveys. And being able to survey the team.
Yeah.
We also don't require them to provide their names. So it gives them the
great.
opportunity to express a concern or give some feedback without having their name tied to it. I don't know where the magic happens there.
Helpful.
Yeah.
Those surveys are helpful and insightful for us as owners to see what's going on, and it takes the pressure off them not having to put their names on it, because then they can be real without having to worry about repercussions or
And truly keeping like an open mind for the feedback
Yeah.
too. Like if you're going to ask for feedback, you need to actually like listen and take it into consideration and not just be like, oh no, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
So what about the stylists that are actually in a position right now where they're inside a toxic salon? What would you say to them?
You
How would
poor
you guide
thing.
them?
You poor thing. I think if you're in the salon industry, there's this mantra of like, oh, it's all girls. It's, you know, it's toxic. That's just the way it is. I think a lot of people might be jaded and think that's just how it is. I know I was. I just thought that that's, you know, in our prior salon, I just thought that's the way it has to be.
Well, it definitely doesn't have to be that way. I mean,
Yeah.
you could definitely
So
find
that
a
would
better
be-
fit
yes,
for sure.
The first piece of advice would just be to know if you're unhappy, then maybe you're not at the right place.
Yeah, that's number
Yeah.
one.
And if you have a boss or a manager that you can't go and talk to about your concerns, then you're definitely at the wrong place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep,
the nail in the
that's another
coffin.
one.
Yep.
One of the things that we didn't really talk about is how we are constantly investing into leadership things on our own, like books,
Oh, yeah.
podcasts, and how leadership is like always evolving with like the generations. There's different ways to handle different things with different types of people. So
Yep.
just knowing and having the tools to get through those situations too.
Yeah, conflict resolution's huge.
Right.
And it doesn't just mean for owners. I mean, having the tools and being able to teach your leaders and managers and even like your team members how to resolve a conflict on their own.
Right, like not getting the owners involved.
Without, you know,
Yeah.
like being offensive or
Yeah.
aggressive. There's definitely ways of doing it and tools. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
being immersed in that is super helpful as an owner.
I think steadily immersing in basically like self-growth and being able to provide verbiage, being able to coach, being the calm person in the room when, you know, things blow up. Like those are all powerful things that really make your team feel safe.
Yeah.
And I think that matters, especially in today's society. Some of the other things that I think play a pivotal role are just basically having team members that are aware, like, yeah, we don't put up a drama.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like we're not about it. And if you are, then like, this is not going to be your place. Of course, there's times where drama comes up. You know, that's normal. But I think just driving home the message of like, we're not going to support a drama-filled culture in any way.
We're going to shut it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, it's just it's the only option. And for owners, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Like we've all been there where we have, we have 3 salon companies at this point. Things aren't always great at every given moment. You know, there's certainly times where things feel volatile and we feel that we may be out of control. But I think identifying that, hey, we have an issue. Let's sit back. Let's sleep on this. Let's do some research. Let's figure out how we're going to handle this. Let's get a strategy, a game plan in place. And then you follow it, like you follow
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
If ultimately somebody's not a good fit, they got to go. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if you're the biggest, earner in the company, but you're,
Yeah.
stirring the pot and behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We don't give a damn. We don't give a fuck.
Well, for us, it's very easy because we do have different perspectives. So each situation that comes to one of us, we usually talk about it amongst each other. And I feel
For
like,
sure.
You may think one way, you think one way, I think one way, and then we collaborate and we kind of can,
Strategize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
sure.
for other salon owners that don't have that other partner to lean on, find other salon owners in the industry that are close by and lean on them. Find
Or
a
reach
support
out to
group.
us.
Yeah.
Reach out to us.
Comment, DM, follow
Yeah.
us.
We're dying to hear some stories or ways we can coach you guys on how to, work through some of these situations.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Would love to continue the conversation there.
Yeah, just to basically improve the industry in general. So yeah, I feel like we covered a lot on salon toxicity. We provided some strategies in place for both stylists and salon owners. Mm-hmm. And if you guys, as Alicia said, if you have any stories to share, please do so. We're looking to hear them. We want to help in any way we possibly can. So we will keep providing content. You guys keep tuning in.
Thanks. We'll see you on the next one.